Hi there, Gemini. Welcome to your end of November 2019 General Tarot Update. It's Rena here. Okay, it's Saturday night, and I am here doing tarot readings. Wild and crazy partier, right? Doing tarot readings. And I'm actually quite happy to do that. It's nice and quiet for a change. Well, it's usually pretty quiet, but now it's really quiet. Now watch the train come by. Wow, I've been getting like... Yeah, I even checked the deck for reversed cards, and because I don't, I was afraid I'd get a whole bunch of them. But yeah, one still has been showing up. So, oh yeah, well, we're still in Mercury retrograde. Maybe we're showing some of the resistance to the flow in some way. Okay, alrighty then. The heart of the matter, Gemini, is the Ace of Wands. That's like full steam ahead, new beginnings, enthusiastic new beginnings. I would say especially at the time of the Sagittarius new moon, which is on November 26th. And this is occurring in your relationship sector, 7th house. There's another card here that speaks to relationship. So there's a big cosmic event coming up a couple days before that, the conjunction of Jupiter and Venus with the galactic center. I said in another video that I'm not an expert on this kind of esoteric type of transits, but certainly there are people online on YouTube who have made videos on it, so you can check that out if you're interested, or perhaps you already know about it. I know that Venus and Neptune being in conjunction just by themselves is auspicious, and that is occurring, well, along with the transit that I was talking about, the galactic center, on the 23rd and 24th of November, and the new moon is on the 26th. So, because this is Sag energy, this is your 7th house of committed partnership. With the Ace of Wands, you may feel like you can get things going. Maybe the Mercury retrograde kind of screwed you up a little bit. That occurred in your 6th house of work. So if there are any Geminis out there who were waiting for a job offer, or maybe you already had gotten hired, but they didn't confirm to you when you were supposed to come in to, fill out all your paperwork and get like oriented. This may be happening towards the end of the month after Mercury goes direct and we have the new moon. The fire energy is associated with wands, and so the ace is the new beginning, so it could be around that new moon in Sagittarius, whatever this new beginning is. In the past position, we have the Page of Cups in reverse. This is what he looks like upright. So that even can be some kind of a message that got lost in the shuffle, that you didn't receive. Either you didn't receive it, or perhaps it was not genuine. It was something. Page can be a message. Cups are emotions. Even with the Page of Cups, I can think about somebody trying to conceive a child in some way. Page of Cups can be like a child who is having problems, but this is in the past position, so this may even be somebody that you were dating who is very emotionally immature, and you're ready to move on, Gemini. And you have this with the fire energy is really having that confidence. You know how like when you make a decision and you're not second guessing yourself. I was reading that Gemini is an indecisive sign, and I was quite surprised about that, since I always like peg Libra that way, and I'm sure that they would probably say the same about Libra, but maybe it's because you're a dual sign, and so you can have like a what would they call that? Where you're of opposing views, you're two-minded about something. I can't think of the term, but maybe going back and forth with whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, and saying, and having like just like the twins, having two different viewpoints on something, not just sticking to that one-pointedness. And the Ace of Wands is like taking action and feeling like it's totally what you're supposed to be doing, not even second guessing yourself for a moment. And so you might feel like you're really kind of making progress, maybe even quickly. And you're ready for that new beginning. The higher message is the 10 of Wands. This is the person that's hunched over. Be careful about, if this is a new job, that you don't get caught up in a cycle of doing too much because you assume the responsibility for something. So if you've started a new relationship, maybe this is a love relationship, perhaps you have that pattern of trying to do everything for the other person, and you do that like very soon afterwards, especially if you have a water moon sign, I would say. So Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, or you have inner planets in Cancer, which is very caretaking, very nurturing. The average, like even the woman, female Gemini, is not necessarily like that, but you will resemble a Cancer in relationships. For instance, if you have Venus in Cancer, but possibly Mars in Cancer, just that desire to take care of others may be very strong in you. And you have to resist that, especially at the beginning of the relationship, because you can attract people who are needy of somebody to save them, or somebody to take care of them. I had somebody like read me the riot act and was like really offended. Oh, we can't take care of people who have problems and things like that. And of course I would never say anything like that. I think it's wonderful to take care of people who have some illness or something. But if that is a pattern to get involved with people, not talking about like you find out later, but when you get involved with them, they have an addiction, or they have some kind of disorder that requires them, or where they have a lot of problems associated with it, especially behavioral problems, and you just get involved with them, and then your life gets turned upside down. It's really not benefiting them, because they're not getting any better. That's what I'm trying to say. If it really did make them better, that would be one thing. But the 10 of Wands is about shouldering a burden that might not be your own. And this could be in the workplace, where it's something where they're asking of you something, but they're not compensating you extra, or they are, overworking you. And you may feel like you're just grateful to have a job. And perhaps in certain cases, that's exactly what you have to do. But you have to remember that if they work you too hard and you have to take a medical leave, God forbid, then where will they be? It's not going to benefit them either. Then they have to get somebody else and pay you for the medical leave. So it makes sense on multiple levels to have boundaries and have like what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. What crosses you is the Eight of Wands. This is the card of really like full steam ahead. So there still may be holdups. We are probably having a Mercury in its shadow through the end of the month. I haven't like checked to see exactly what date Mercury goes out of its shadow, because the reason I haven't done that is because predictive astrology to me is a bit of a trap. It can keep people from taking action and thinking things like, oh, Mercury is not a shadow, or blaming things on their life. When I see these challenge cards like Eight of Wands, it's really because of the person's attitude, their reactions to their challenges, why this is happening. It isn't because of something astrological. Nothing really is. How many times have you had tech issues and it wasn't a Mercury retrograde? And it seemed like multiple tech issues. I had that happen this fall and I didn't have Mercury retrograde to blame. Doesn't mean that astrology isn't real or that Mercury retrograde isn't real, but it's only one thing. There's other things that lead to malfunctions in life. And with the Eight of Wands, there may be a feeling like you're being kept from doing, from moving forward. And it's possible that this has something to do with you. Perhaps this Ace of Wands, if this is a person, it's more of an affair. It's not necessarily a love relationship. The Page of Cups, was this somebody that you decided that you didn't want to be with? Is this person really not suitable for you, or did you reject them because they were emotionally connected to you and that made you nervous? And it's easier to have an affair than to have, with somebody who may have commitment issues, than to have the real thing. I don't know. I guess it depends on the individual. The Ace of Wands can be you declaring your independence. Maybe this is Independence Day for you, Gemini, where you have, oh yeah, and you're going to have a full moon in your sign December 11th or 12th, depending where you live in the world. And that's going to be maybe like finishing something up for you. And in 2020, the North Node is going to go into your sign in May, right around, before your solar return. So then the focus is going to be about you in the next 18 months. I'm talking about starting in May. And all of the things that happen to you, you can look through the lens of destiny calling you and highlighting your life. And I believe it's not going to be until 2021 before you start to see eclipses in your sign, but there's an eclipse in the opposite sign of Sagittarius in June of 2020. So that's going to affect you, since it's going to oppose you. So I'm not going to get too much into that, but I just wanted to say that there's a lot of change afoot. Maybe it's more right now a time for wrapping things up. I'm talking about at the end of November and into December, and maybe for the next month until mid or I was going to say mid-December, but actually around Christmas time, right after the winter solstice, because there's going to be a solar eclipse in Capricorn, And for you, that's your 8th house. So that's like a rebirth. Okay. So you have to have that death, the full moon in your sign, and kind of like closing a chapter in your life before you can have your rebirth. And so that's why it's really not full steam ahead just yet. Maybe it will be, when the solar eclipse is in the 8th house, where you feel like a phoenix rising from the ashes. What's coming in is the 9 of Pentacles, and this is a card of, I would say, connection to your home base, to the earth element, and depending on your circumstances, even having a home business. Pentacles is cha-ching, is money. Oh, sorry about this. Here's my jacked up, whatchamacallit again. That's like askew, but I'm trying to get the most use out of it before I toss it to the trash heap. Yeah, so the 9 of Pentacles can be somebody who has, you know how they call it FU money, where you're able to spend money on things that you don't really need. But this is more of a feeling of leisure, a feeling of financial independence for sure. Actually, I scratch that. This is financial independence, but that I was thinking of the Queen of Pentacles. When I was looking at it, I wasn't tuning into the 9. I was just looking at the woman. And I haven't worked with the Rider-Waite deck recently, so I was just thinking of the Queen of Pentacles. But yeah, this is somebody, where you feel that sense of like you are able to do what you want to do. There's an independence with career matters, so perhaps some of you are looking into or developing your own business. And the Ace of Wands, yeah, Independence Day, that you're declaring it because you're tired of working, picking up the slack for other people, perhaps, and this may be a long-standing situation for you. The outcome is the 2 of Cups, and in a love relationship, I would say that this is more likely something to do with reuniting with somebody, because I'm thinking of that Page of Cups, and that was in the reversed position, and perhaps something got broken off, and you were able to come back together. The 2 of Cups can be a card of committing to a relationship, but there's nothing in the cards above that suggests that narrative, as a convincing type of interpretation. I think the greater likelihood is that this is more of a situation where you were kind of sowing your wild oats because you felt that communication breakdown with somebody, and maybe this was somebody that you had high hopes for because you were just beginning something and it's almost like it ended before it began, and it's coming back. And so an example would be that you fell in love with somebody who was already involved, and they were going to leave their spouse or their other relationship, and then they didn't, and you just kind of like immediately took the stance that you wanted to go your own way. So perhaps you weren't willing to listen to excuses and felt like the other person led you on in some way, and you're able to find your way back to somebody. If this is some kind of a work situation, this may be you may join forces with another person. And this can be even like a healing arts career. It's funny, when I was looking at that symbol, it reminded me of the medical, the snakes. I don't know if it's connected to that. But the cups can be something along the line. So maybe you abandoned something that you had begun because you were trying to do it alone and you didn't have the support to be able to do it, but maybe you get that kind of support. Because the Ten of Wands might have been you trying, having too much on your plate. So, in any case, Gemini, I hope that you receive some message within all of that. If you'd like a personal reading, if you want me to see what the trends are for you in 2020 and things like that, please check my website, which is linked in the description box. Have a great rest of November. Take care. Bye.